Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Welcome to the Pillars. We are a community led space aimed at supporting protocols and educating our investors through intelligent, meaningful conversation. Here we ask the tough questions you all want answered. Let me now introduce to you a project you probably have never heard of, especially not here at the Pillars. I can confidently say that AJ probably has been the number one guest here. Um, so, as I said, AJ Brockman again today here at the Pillars, and today we will be talking about SparkSwap. SparkSwap. I mean, the reason why SparkSwap is always we always have you guys on is because you keep pumping out feature after feature after update. So there's always exciting stuff to talk about. And this time we get some very, very juicy alpha of what is to come. Mad Hatter has also some wonderful questions prepared for you. No pressure, Mad Hatter. And yeah, as you know, the community questions channel is open. So I urge everyone, please ask away. You know how wonderful AJ is with answering all your community questions. And as you can also see, we have a $25 giveaway happening. So also participate, engage. So you are eligible for that one. Um, Enough from me. I'm gonna pass it on to the fine gentlemen up here on stage, and I'm going down to the audience. Take care.
Thank you very much, David. AJ, always a pleasure to have you in, and I'm very excited for this one.
Yes, Matt Hatter, absolutely, brother. Again, David, shout out to you as well, brother. Much love, and much love to the Pillars community. I know David mentioned it. I would happily take the title of the most beloved Pillars guest. So again, you guys have been some incredible supporters of all of our projects, and yeah, we have some exciting announcements. I know we were joking, Matt Hatter. We were just on a few days ago. This
Yes, we
feels
were.
good, man. We got to do a bi-weekly catch up instead of a weekly or monthly. But yeah, man, lots of stuff going on. We have a really exciting new feature that we'll talk about today. That we're adding to SparkSwap. And just some general updates. And yeah, man, excited to be back.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk through these new features, and I'm excited to, as you already alluded to, the merging of teams that you brought together. And I said you thought you were able to triple, I think you said, your dev team, and in particular the smarts that sit behind a couple of things that perhaps have flown a little bit under the radar. But I did want to keep you on your toes today because I wanted to make sure I was asking some questions that I don't want, not starting it in the way I typically do. So normally we do this at the end of a CEE, but I want to do it at the beginning, and I want to do a bit of a call to arms for anybody listening. What is it with you guys doing all of these rounds? What do you need from our community, from your community, and from people in general that are interested in SparkSwap? What is it that you guys need from us to support you as best you can so that you can continue to have the motivation and drive to do what you're doing?
Absolutely, Matt Hatter. Wow, brother. I love this question, especially at the beginning. Usually, like you said, the call to actions are at the end. But yeah, I mean, the short answer is pretty simple, brother. I mean, obviously, we want users, but I understand, some people might not want exposure to Pulse or, maybe for whatever reason they don't have any extra funds to get involved financially. But we always talk about the human investment. And again, if you like what we're doing, if you respect that we're fully transparent, we're always building, we're always trying to deliver, the number one thing you can do to help us as a protocol and as a team is spread the word. And we have a few ways of doing that. Again, obviously Twitter is big. We're really trying to ramp up our Twitter engagement. Reaching out to other Pulse projects is also really helpful, as well as other contacts that you might have as well. Again, I don't want to get into too many details, but one of the Pillars partners actually made an incredible connection for us this week with another, layer two blockchain. So even that is
Fantastic.
huge. Yeah, being able to again support each and support the people that are here for the right reasons, actually building. So yeah, man, that's a short answer. Again, the bridge is also really, really important. It's a perfect product market fit for Pulse. Not only because it benefits us, but as I've said many times before, we're actually able to beat the free bridge. Again, the main Ethereum to Pulse bridge is actually free in terms of fees. But if you're bridging, less than $5,000 to $10,000, you're paying way more in gas fees than you would with our bridge. So, spreading the word on that is also really helpful because it's literally the safest, fastest, most affordable option to bridge funds into Pulse in existence. So, yeah, man, that's a short answer, but I really appreciate you asking that early.
Yeah, no, pleasure. And I think it's always important to understand that a rising tide lifts all ships, as was quoted by one of our avid community members to me earlier today, in fact. And I think it's always good to remember that. And sometimes at the beginning of a conversation, because this conversation is going to be about all the exciting things that are coming for anybody that is interested in SparkSwap or already in SparkSwap. And part of that is the hard work that you guys are putting in the background. And again, just to keep you kind of, mix things up a little bit and keep you alert. Another question I'm going to ask very early on is about Warren Finance. And I am going somewhere with this, but I know that there was something that happened with Warren Finance that, I'm sure that you were expecting at least a question about. Are you able to just very briefly address what happened? And I love that you guys put out a statement saying, we've checked the on-chain data. It wasn't a rug. We understand some of you lost money. That is very unfortunate, but it was positive for the ecosystem nonetheless. So let's look at the positive.
Yeah, 100%, Matt Hatter. Again, brother, I'm glad you brought this up as well because we're always here to be transparent, even if it's an uncomfortable conversation for sure. But yeah, the short answer is, I had known, and I still do have a great relationship with the Warren developers and team. I do think, again, personal opinion, I do think that they are one of the ones that were trying. Obviously, there were some inherent flaws in the sustainability of Warren. And for those that don't know, Warren Finance was a fork of Carol that was very popular on BSC, and then they moved to Base. So anyway, again, we looked at all the data. We had some other input from other devs, and even some other YouTube videos that popped up about how the on-chain data does show there was some early rails, but it's really hard to actually pin that on the developers themselves. And so, in my honest opinion, from the data that we saw, I think that it was more of just an early rail that was able to build up their balance and essentially exploit the earning potential that Warren gave. And then, when the ship started to sink and everybody started to panic, obviously there was a run on the bank, and those early whales dumped. Now, could those have been early team members or insiders? Yes. I mean, we unfortunately can't, determine who owns those wallets. But from everything that we saw, it wasn't a flat out rug where the devs, pull liquidity. Obviously, the chart looked like a classic rug, and I think that's where it came from. But you have to realize when you're minting more Warren tokens and there is no more liquidity, that's when you get that giant red candle like we saw. So, and we've been really careful with the partnerships that we've done, and we've gotten really smart about it. Where, yes, obviously our community may have lost some money. We never would promote something that we thought was a detriment. But as far as the protocol goes, again, the on-chain data, Warren brought in literally hundreds of thousands of dollars through our bridge, and they were a bridge partner. Again, they had a link to our bridge, and that was, again, fees that fed Sparkler and fed Spark, and was a very big success for the protocol overall. So, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to go into more detail, but that's kind of the high-level overview, Matt Hatter, and where we left it.
Thank you. And I appreciate the transparency. Like I said, I appreciate that you guys came out in front of this. You have looked at the on-chain data, you've formed an opinion, and you've given that opinion. I think a lot of people sit on the fence a little too much, especially team leads in this space. But you mentioned something interesting, and that's about being careful on the partnerships that you form and formulate. And you cannot control what a non-partner is doing, although you can work alongside them and you can bring them in to help put positive pressure on the protocol to really help SparkSwap fly. But you can't control what they're doing. But when you partner with someone and when you're working alongside someone, you have a deeper understanding of how they're developing things, where their minds are at, and you can control where you don't make mistakes, so these kind of things don't happen. And that's where Dex Finance comes in particular, Jake, who I know you speak very highly of. It's a very interesting partnership that you guys have now fully merged together. I imagine for you guys, it's incredible to have him on as a dev. And can you give us a brief overview as to what Dex Finance is and what it's been very quietly doing in the background, especially in terms of performance against other auto vaults or kind of beefy auto compounders that are out there?
Yeah, absolutely, Mad Hatter. So again, this is the meat and potatoes of the call today. We are bringing auto vaults, again, the auto vaults from Dex Finance to SparkSwap. And so, just to back up a little bit and answer your question, yeah, I mean, we've had countless partnerships, and I think every partnership that we do, again, you hit the nail on the head, Mad Hatter. We control what we can control, but at the end of the day, what's out of our control is out of our control. And so we've gotten a lot smarter with that, and really done a ton more due diligence into partner protocols and ultimately other team leads that we work with. And Jake from Dex Finance, we've had a very close relationship for over 2 years now. Again, just to give some more history, Dex Finance started right around the time EMP started, and they were also a seniorage protocol, just like EMP. So our history is very tightly interwoven, and admittedly, they did a lot that was a better model of the Tomb Fork. I mean,
Mm.
again, the way that they were able to control some of the human error. Again, not to get too much in the weeds, but they had a lot of tweaks in their protocol that was a lot more sustainable than even EMP, as we came to find out. But that being said, he was one that was always building, and through him, his ability personally as a dev, and the team that he has assembled, we went from about 5 devs. Again, our lead dev is also named Jake, so it can be a little confusing. But and then we had brought on another team that was more of a contract basis, and that was another 4 or 5 devs, full stack. And now we've gone from that to again essentially merging with Dex Finance and their dev team, which is over 25 devs.
Wow.
And not only are they, front end, back end, full stack developers, but they also know Solidity and Rust. So they know pretty much every coding language there is in terms of DeFi. And again, it's been an amazing partnership. We now talk and meet daily. And not only are we building for Spark, but we're also continuing to scale the Dex Finance ecosystem as well. And I'd love to have Jake on together with me for a future AMA about their roadmap. But
Yes, please.
their number one product is these vaults. And as you said, Matt Hatter, they're essentially a cross between beefy auto compounders and balancer pools. So not only are you able to auto compound rewards, um, but you're able to have up to 3 different LPs in the same vault, which actually will balance again. Automatically DCAing on the actual value of the assets that are in the vault. So, based on the numbers alone, these vaults are able to outperform your traditional auto compounders by up to 10% APR, which again, when you're talking,
Mm.
thousands of dollars, that's a big difference. So, yeah, man, we're really excited, and the tech has been bulletproof. Again, Jake has been building these, for the last 2 years. They put over $500,000 in the development. They've been audited by Hacken and Hellborn and Certic. I mean, all the big guys have audited them, and there has been no issues. So we're really excited to bring that to PulseChain because there really is no other option available on Pulse as a whole. So we feel like it will be a great, again, product market fit for not only us, but Pulse as a whole.
I think it will be huge for you guys just as a DEX within the space in any case, let alone on Pulse. I mean, your top five, as David said, on Pulse, you are within the top 100. I think you said 98, did you, or 97 at the
Yeah,
moment?
of
And this
Dex's
could
overall,
very,
exactly.
yeah, and the volume that this could generate could very easily catapult you guys even further. Now, there's going to be some things that people will be worried about, and we'll discuss those. Perhaps the negative pressure that might come out of it on Spark and how you're going to offset against that and what you've got in place. And I know that there are things that you were thinking about or have implemented that will offset that. But first off, I imagine people are going to want to understand how these vaults work, what it means to have three separate LPs that are rebalancing constantly for them, where it means that it's going to be buying and selling to make sure they're maximizing their returns. And I know that the compounding is going to be reliant on how much volume is coming in. So it could be as quick as every few minutes. But every few hours is where you guys are expecting it, especially as it first launches, depending on volume. So could you explain a little bit about how that all works?
Yeah, absolutely, brother. So again, the number one thing that is a metric of success with DEXs is volume. I mean, volume is king, liquidity is king, but if you're a DEX, volume is king. And so the more volume that we can produce, again, that directly relates to more swap fees, more activity, again, more users and ultimately, a more successful protocol. And so, yeah, we're looking at many ways to increase our volume and our throughput. And with these auto vaults, it really becomes mind blowing. I mean, we're looking at probably tripling the daily volume. Just from the auto vaults alone, and the way that happens is you have to understand every time the rewards are sold for the compound back in, or every time somebody adds to a vault, every time somebody withdraws from a vault, all of that is pure volume on the DEX because those go through swaps and we get the swap fees on all of that, and it's still much more lucrative for the investor because again, if you were compounding manually, every hour, and that is the updated tech on Pulse is that it will compound every hour as long as there's enough TVL in it. So again, if you're talking 24 times a day, if you were to do that manually, you would be paying enormous amount of gas fees. Not to mention you would have to be on 24/7. So really, even though we're getting swap fees, we're getting harvest fees, as a protocol, it's still much more profitable for you as well as the investor because of that auto compounding. And a 160% APR, when you calculate that as APY, which includes compounding, I mean you could easily get to 200-300% APY on that. So again, it's really beneficial not only to you as a investor, but also for the revenue and the volume and the throughput of the DEX itself. So yeah, does that help answer, Mad Hatter? I'm happy to
It
go
does.
into more of the
I
details
guess
too. Yeah.
there might be some details that people would like in terms of how or what it means to have three LPs sitting within a vault and what that specifically means for them, not just in the auto compounding side, but how does it rebalance? What is it going to do with the tokens that they choose? And then when they want to take profit, if they want to take profit, we understand now that they can choose what they want to take profit in and even the percentage that they want to take profit for, right? So that it's so
Absolutely.
modular that there's a lot of things that they can do that puts a lot of control in the hands of the users. And that's, of course, what you guys are trying to build, is something that is user first, user friendly, certainly.
Yes, brother. So again, the short answer is all of the above. And yeah, so what happens is, and let's just take some real world examples. So right now, the Spark PLS LP is paying about 140 APR, and the Spark PLS, I'm sorry, the Spark SDI is paying about 160 APR. So by having, say, you have a vault with both of those LPs in it rather than just one, you're actually able to get a little more APR. Again, it's not necessarily one to one. So you're not, obviously you're not getting, what is that, 300% APR, but you do get more, a little bit more than whatever the lowest APR is, and a little bit less than whatever the highest APR is. So again, you're able to boost your rewards a little bit that way. And the really, really cool part is having both of those assets in one vault. Again, it's actually 4 assets. Again, Spark is the same in either one. So technically, you're talking 3 separate assets. But if it was a totally separate LP, say, Spark, PLS, and SDI, because you have all 4 of those assets in the vault, when Spark goes up, it will actually sell a little bit of Spark and buy the other assets that have gone down, and vice versa. When, say, PLS goes up, it will sell some PLS and buy more Spark or SDI. So what happens is, again, in very simple terms, it's essentially DCAing into those assets. So you're buying the bottom and selling the top, literally 24/7, and within those vaults, and earning on top of it. So it's really, really powerful. And to your point as well, you can choose what to take profit in. So another really cool feature is anybody can create a vault of their choosing. Now, unless you're a substantial player, again, if you say you had $10,000 or more in any LP, it maybe makes sense for you to create your own vault and just use it literally as modular as you would like it to be. But we'll have a ton of different options that are pre-made as well, and the more TVL within those vaults, the more profitable they actually become, because again, they're able to compound more and more rewards as a whole, and it takes less gas to do that. So we'll have a few sponsored vaults, as well as some pre-made vaults that we feel is a great balance of what is good for the protocol and good for the investors. And yeah, with this comes ETFs as well, which are essentially a basket of funds that you can take profit into. So, for instance, you can choose a vault that may have Spark and Pulse as the profit tokens within that ETF. And so every time, rather than auto compounding 100% of the rewards, say 50% of the rewards will go to the back into the vault, and the other 50% will be put into the ETF, where again you can literally stack Spark and Pulse and any other asset that you want to. And then another beautiful part is when you're ready to take profit after that, you simply burn the ETF, and it will give you whatever asset you want. So you can stack up rewards and then cash everything out in Spark or Pulse. If you cash out in Spark, then you can put that Spark right back into Sparkler, and continue the flywheel. So again, there are so many options, and I know it can be a little overwhelming, but we'll do full tutorials. We're gonna do some live streams. But at the end of the day, it's just so beneficial, not only to us but to you as well.
Absolutely. As I think David put in the chat, volume, 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 right? That's what you need. And you've said it already, a DEX needs volume, and this helps with that. Are there any fears that there will be a negative pressure on Spark? And what is SparkSwap doing to offset against any of that negative pressure, sell pressure?
Yeah, 100%. So again, this is somebody using their brain. Again, Mad Hatter, I can always count on you. So, typically when we see auto compounding, for those that are more familiar, it is potential selling pressure because again, you're selling the reward token for more of the assets within the vault. However, we look at things a few different ways. So, number one, very simply put, you know, if you're in the farms, a lot of people don't understand the power of Sparkler, and they're selling 100% of their Spark every day. And so, even if you have an auto compounder, um, half of that is still Spark that you're auto compounding into. So technically, you're only selling half of the asset that you would normally sell if you just dumped your Spark every day. So that's the most simple explanation, but there's a lot of other stock apps as well. So we'll be taking a harvest fee on all of the auto compounding. Again, it sounds like it's high, but it's beefy is the same. It's 9.95%, and that's just on again the profits of the harvest fee, and that will completely 100% go to supporting the token price of Spark. And even with that fee, you're still earning way more APR than you would just being in the farm alone. And again, the volume, the more volume, if we're able to triple our volume, which based on our projections, we think we will. That is literally 3 times the amount of buying pressure on Spark because, again,
Right.
all of those fees are collected um, from the swap fees and then they're split out to buy Spark and to buy PLS to then reward people in Sparkler. So, again, if you're in Sparkler and actually are an owner of the protocol with staking your Spark and Sparkler, you will be reaping massive rewards from that increase in volume. So those are really the low hanging fruit that we have used to combat any sell pressure. And then last but not least, again, a lot of those ETFs I mentioned, they have Spark in the ETF. So if you're taking profit into an ETF, that's actually buying Spark, and again putting it in that holder for you until you're ready to cash out. So it can actually lock up a lot more Spark as well, even outside of Sparkler. Um,
Right.
and again, the more you lock up, the less potential selling pressure. And then one last thing, Matt. Oh, sorry to keep going here. But
No.
the
Okay.
last bit that's really really bullish is these vaults will also be compatible with Pulse X. So you'll be able to actually farm again. If you're farming on Pulse X, you can actually create a vault of only Pulse X um, LP, and then you're earning the ink reward with those farms, and then that can actually be converted right into Spark. So we're selling ink and buying Spark just like we do with the rehypothecation. Now all of you are able to do that as well, and that is massively beneficial to Spark because that is a 100% buying pressure on Spark itself. So not only are we creating a massive opportunity for our own LP and SparkSwap as a whole, but now we're able to tap into the Pulse X community and offer them an incredible product that they can get behind and that supports our ecosystem in the process.
Right. Great. Thank you. And I tried to mix things up against you, and you've just come straight back at me and answered about 5 or 6 of my questions that I had lined up in one
All right.
response. So
Well, right
I'm
on,
gonna
Matt. Yeah,
I'm
that's
I'm
always
gonna
how
have
it
to
goes,
pluck
man.
some questions out of thin air now, I think. While we're speaking about Spark, one of the things that made me laugh when I heard about these vaults that were coming is that I've been waiting for a bit of a dip on Spark to get back in, right, and buy some more. And it made me laugh because I thought we maybe might have seen the bottom at this stage. I know some people might say, well, actually, if you zoom in close enough, it's on a downward trend. Yes, okay, but I don't necessarily know if it's going to go much lower. I know you're not going to be able to comment on where you think the price would be or is headed, but do you think we are near the bottom of Spark, especially with what's happening with Richard Hart, Pulse, the SEC? Not financial advice to anybody listening, but what are your thoughts in terms of the price of the token?
Yeah, absolutely, Matt Hatter. So, man, it's hard to actually come out and say and speculate on the price, especially, as a team lead. But I can definitely comment on the health of the ecosystem and, Pulse as a whole. And, one of the major metrics is liquidity. And we did a post a few days ago, and David mentioned it at the very beginning here. We are the number 6 most liquid token on all of PulseChain. So to put that into perspective, the top 2 or 3 are literally Pulse, PulseX, Pulse USDC. What they have like $20 million of liquidity. The absolute big dogs of the entire protocol, of the entire chain, rather. And we are sitting right below them at number 6 with combined liquidity between Spark PLS and Spark SDAI. We have about $2.5 million of liquidity on Spark. And what that does is it essentially does what we call liquidity bonding, where Spark is almost bonded to the price of PLS. And the more liquidity you have, again, with PLS, the tighter that bond becomes. And what happens is when Pulse goes up, that drags the price of Spark up with it. And so, again, Matt Hatter, to your point, I can't speculate on whether, we may be at a bottom or what kind of a trend we're in, but I can say that over the next few months and years, I absolutely think that PLS will be higher than it is at the current moment. And therefore, Spark should follow along with that. So, yeah, I mean, again, and really another really important thing to mention is that the way that you make money on SparkSwap, it's not necessarily from the price appreciation of the token. It's more about the yield. So even in a worst case scenario where Spark literally stayed exactly where it is right now over a year, you would be able to yield way more than if you would make just selling Spark outright. So those
Mhm.
are some really important factors to consider. But yeah, man, I'm as bullish as ever on PLS and Spark for sure.
Great, thank you. And that was a very diplomatic response. Thank you. I'm sure
Yeah,
David
no
was going to
doubt,
get
brother. I'll
cross with
try.
me for almost giving financial advice and saying he was going to tell me off in the background. So you saved my bacon. I heard during a recent discussion that you guys have your own arbitrage bot that is designed to benefit the ecosystem and obviously the SparkSwap investors. And I don't necessarily know if that's something that people are fully aware of, that you guys brought that in specifically to help them and to offset against the ones that are pretty malicious in that they really do target and hurt investors that are trying to buy tokens.
Yeah, 100%. So again, Mad Hatter, you know how to tee it up for me, brother. So I appreciate that. That the arbitrage bots are absolutely a game changer, and as far as I know, we're one of the only dexes that openly admits that we have arbitrage bots of our own. And the reason that we do that is because, as you said, Mad Hatter, rather than extracting value from the ecosystem, we use those arbitrage bots to actually inject value back in to the ecosystem. So what happens is, and this is a reason why, especially now, we don't allow you to just add your own LP to Spark. It has to be LP that we create. Again, we do have some partners. Goat token, for instance, is a token that had enough volume that we were able to list that. But we're able to set up arbitrage bots on our listings, and that is kept within the ecosystem. So on PancakeSwap, on Uniswap, there are other arbitrage bots that are run by node operators. One of them is called Jared from Subway Bot because it's a sandwich bot. So what a sandwich bot does is it will front run your purchases. So if you're going to buy a token, it will do essentially a flash loan where it buys a bunch of that token before your transaction can go through, and then you buy the token, and then it sells the token. So the sandwich bots, they are one of the worst in terms of screwing the user.
Right.
And that bot alone makes $1 million a day on Ethereum. So just imagine a fraction of that. Rather than making that money, it's within our ecosystem. And we don't really make money on the sandwich bot side, but our arbitrage bots will help keep parity on the price itself. So, for instance, the S die, but obviously, we want S tide to remain $1, and so our arbitrage bot will ensure that that is always $1 and rebalance every few seconds through buying and selling to make sure that we are at $1. And, we make a few cents every time that happens. And, over a month, that's thousands of dollars that are then going into Sparkler or adding more liquidity or paying for, hard dev costs where we don't ever have to sell the native asset to pay for development. And that's another really important thing. 99% of other crypto projects, the money has to come from somewhere. So they're
Mm.
selling the native asset and dumping on your head when we'll never ever have to do that because we're making money through the real yield for sure.
Great. And it's all designed to help the investor. I think that's the greatest part about this. And one of the reasons why I feel so comfortable being so positive, especially when you guys come on, is that everything is geared towards the investor. And I say it every single time we speak, and I'll continue to say it, which is zero downtime. There have been no exploits. You guys have been transparent. You haven't always pleased everybody, and you're never going to. But when you haven't, you've met the questions head on, and you've answered them as honestly as you can. Um, with
Absolutely,
the
brother.
investors in mind, are there things that you're going to work on at the front end? I know some people grumble that the website can be a bit cumbersome or slow, or it doesn't always work. Is that something that you're working on? And with these auto vaults and Spark, will you perhaps integrate something that automatically stakes the Spark into the Sparkler for anybody that doesn't want to be tempted to sell it and does want to continue rotating into the ecosystem to play it the right way, and would just love to be able to take that out of their hands completely?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're always looking at other ways to increase the user experience, to update the UI. A few key points of what you mentioned specifically. So yeah, I mean, we are working on a full UI rebrand as well. It will still be SparkSwap, and the logo will stay the same, but the website itself will be completely different. And we're waiting a little bit on that just because we've been developing so fast that we don't want to do a complete redesign and then have to add another product that we didn't account for.
Mm.
So after we get through the next few updates, that will be the next priority, and that will definitely make things a little more user friendly. It will also help with the speed and you know up again runtime of the website. Unfortunately, a lot of the issues that we are seeing have nothing to do with our code or the front end, and they're mainly just related to wallet issues and nodes, Pulse nodes. Again, as PulseChain grows, the infrastructure has to scale as well, and so those two things are out of our control. But
Hmm.
we still do everything we can, to help with that. And for those of you that haven't started using Ravi wallet, we seem to have a lot less issues rather with Ravi because that wallet will automatically select the most fast the fastest RPC on PulseChain. So if you are having gas issues and stuck transactions, I would highly recommend downloading the Ravi wallet. We do have an affiliate link, but again, I mean, we're here just to make people a better crypto user. So definitely check out that wallet if you haven't. And yeah, I mean, we are also working on some other upgrades. I know the holy grail would be to automatically be able to take your Spark and stake it into Sparkler. Unfortunately, because of the way the code is and being decentralized, it would require a heavier lift than it sounds. But we're definitely looking into some options that would accomplish that. And the auto vaults are a great start in that process. So, you know, you can definitely accumulate the Spark directly, and then maybe once a week, burn your ETF, take the Spark, and put it into Sparkler all at once. And again, just as a side note, we are working with some other great projects on PulseChain as well. One in particular is called Tetra, and not only are they a DEX aggregator, which will hopefully help bring a lot more volume to SparkSwap, but they have some really cool technology that will automate smart contracts. So if and when that technology comes to life, that would be a perfect solution to automate the sparkler for everybody. So again, we're absolutely working on it. I just don't have a time frame at the moment.
Great, thank you. And already one of our community members has said that their experience with SparkSwap has improved 1,000% after switching to Ravi. So Ravi's a good suggestion, and perhaps
Amazing. Great to
we'll
hear.
take a look at. Yeah, we'll put something together to explain to people how to use it here so that they can get on board with it. Because I only hear good things. I don't use it personally, but I only hear good things from it.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, and our team member LA, she's a creature of habit, so I've been trying to convert her as well, and I get it. I mean, especially some of us that have thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of dollars in their wallet. You know, it is a scary thing to update, but it's from the same team behind DBank, and they are again, you know, there has never been an exploit. I've been using it now for almost a year and a half pretty much since it launched. So yeah, Ravi is a killer wallet.
Now, as you guys grow within Pulse, as you get noticed by more and more people, the who's who of that chain, the influencers, and the man himself are going to start to notice you. Are you on the radar? You know, I know Richard Hart has mentioned you once already, but are you now on the radar of a couple of people that the community can really get excited about? Do you have perhaps some videos up your sleeve or some people that you know have contacted you that are waiting in the wings to really start shouting about you guys?
Yeah, again, another very insightful question, Matt Hatter. So yeah, I mean, and I've talked about this on some other AMAs. I think I maybe answered it, talked about this in our fireside chat. And you know, it's funny to me because PulseChain gets this reputation of being a scam chain, or that you know, shady text. You know, Richard Hart. Like, there's this vibe that there's a lot of shadiness going on. But I have to say. I have never met more genuine influencers than I have ever met than who are on Pulse. And
Right.
the example of that is a lot of these big influencers on Pulse. They want to have at least 6 months of track record, and they want to know that you're not going to scam the community. They want to know who you are. They want to know, you know, again, all the on-chain data that supports what you're saying. And so, you know, just now we're getting to our 6 month mark, and we're getting a lot more doors opening for us. And so, yeah, I mean, the short answer is we have a ton of really great AMAs and interviews that are coming up. A lot of them are with some really high level Pulse influencers. influencers as well. And we seem to get more and more people reaching out to us that are wanting to cover Spark because we've had that proven track record, and they know that we're legit. And so again with Richard himself, it's very hard for him to promote third party projects, but once we get the auto vaults done, again we provide value not only to us but to Pulse X as well. And then we have another ace up our sleeve for the next product. And once all of those things come out, we'll be doing a massive audit again, of the platform as a whole. And then I will be emailing and twittering and sending Richard that audit, right onto his desk. So I
Right.
think once we have all those in place, then yeah, I think we can absolutely get the credit that we deserve within PulseChain, because by then we will be hopefully the number 2 Dex overall and have an amazing community that knows we're here for the long run.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're only 5 months old, and I think if anybody carefully listens to your responses and reads between the lines, you can only imagine what might start happening in terms of traction and in terms of reach in a month, maybe a month and a half's time, as you guys, as you say, get past the hurdles that some people rightly ask you to get past. I think that's the great part about what you've just explained, especially from a lot of these influencers, is that they are now demanding a higher level of delivery, and part of that is making sure that you have been around for X amount of time. And for anybody that was worried, like we said, you guys are saying to the people that want to invest with you, trust in the team. You're investing in us, not necessarily the product, because we're the ones that are going to continue to grind and deliver. And I think the sky is the limit in terms of what you guys can achieve once those doors are opened, because we still live in an environment where these influencers can absolutely push you guys to the next level that you want to be at.
Yeah, absolutely, Mad Hatter, and that is the reality. I mean, as much as we would love to spend, a bunch of money on, ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, Binance, different Explorer ads, the reality is the most reach comes from influencers. And, again, another example of that, I don't know if a lot of you have probably already heard this, but another polarizing character for sure. But Big Boy, Ben Armstrong, again, love him or hate him, he's a bit of a personal hot mess right now, but you can't argue with the eyeballs that he brings. And he made a tweet the other day where he is going to exclusively focus on pulse chain education. So I think we're going to see a lot more, Hex and Pulse content coming from him as well, which again, I mean, any publicity is good publicity for sure.
Right. Yes, it is. Now, I would be remiss, and it's going to be a very brief question because I know you're going to not want me to ask it, and certainly I imagine LA is probably going to tell me off. But I would be remiss if I didn't ask about Fusion. But I will preface the question about where is it, why is it taking so long, by saying you guys haven't forgotten about it. I know that not just from the conversations that we've had, but if I've ever reached out privately, you've been more than forthcoming with responses. You're not timing the market, you're not waiting on anything. You are simply wanting to make sure that when it is released, it is going to be absolutely airtight, and that 0% downtime remains a 0% downtime, and that it can fully be supported by everything else that you guys are building out, and ensure that anybody that currently sits within the EMP ecosystem that wants to benefit from Fusion and those that are coming in fresh are all going to be able to be given the same chances, and be able to benefit and earn in the exact same way. So now that I've said that, do we have
Yeah,
any idea as to when it's going to be coming? I know that you guys are getting that question a lot, and I would be remiss if I didn't at least use this platform to ask you.
yeah, no, and I fully respect that, Mad Hatter. I know the hair on the back of LA's neck is standing straight up right now. But yeah, we again, man, we want Fusion to be here. literally twice as bad as all of you do. And I know, those are just words, but I can promise you that that is wholeheartedly our agenda. And, like Matt Hatter said, unfortunately, code is hard. We have built this from the ground up. Remember, Fusion is not a fork. So we are building this code literally from scratch. It takes a ton of effort doing that. I mean, not only do you have to first start, with all the actual logic and workflow of how the app will work, but then after you finalize all that, you have to build it, and then after you build it, you have to test it, and then after you test it, 9 times out of 10, you have to build it all over again. And so, we have been doing this for almost a year now, and obviously, without a lot of dev help, even though we did have another dev team that was contracted to help, this is a major undertaking and it requires a dev team of, 20 plus people. So we are now in that position with Dex Finance. Not only have they been helping with SparkSwap, but now we have added help with them on Fusion as well. And again, I mean, one other point, like you said, Matt Hatter, we're not purposely delaying anything. When it's ready, it's ready. But one of the major pivots that we made with Fusion was that we had to have actual revenue streams feeding Fusion as well. And so, even if the code was 100% ready, a month, 2 months, 4 months ago, without Spark or any other revenue streams feeding Fusion, it would have been irresponsible of us to go ahead and launch anyway. So now all the puzzle pieces are on the table where, we have a lot of them put together. You start with the borders, all the borders of the puzzle are done. Now we're just filling in all the blank spaces. And, I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to release the date of launch very, very soon. So I know that all of you have been very patient, and we know that it's frustrating, but I can say that when Fusion is here, it will be worth the wait. And a lot of the mechanisms for Fusion are part of Sparkler. So if you've seen the success of Sparkler, by locking up your Spark and earning part of the rewards, Fusion will be Sparkler on steroids. So we have a proof of concept. We have an amazing team. We just have to get it over the finish line.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I hope the 80 plus people that are listening are also excited, especially those that are in EMP. And for anybody that thinks that I'm not necessarily frustrated or also waiting for Fusion, I actually have a sizable position in the reactor. But objectively speaking, I can sit back and say the team are trying to do things right, and of course delays are frustrating. But I would actually be more frustrated if they rushed something, threw it out there, and it didn't work. And the most bullish part of your response,
For sure.
AJ, for me, I think, is for you saying it actually does take a 20 plus man team to get this right because we're building it from the ground up. That means you guys are taking your time to build something that will actually work.
Yeah, absolutely, Mad Hatter. And to comment too, as how this applies to the DOS products, I know a lot of you have had substantial positions in detonator and reactor and all of our DOS products. And yeah, I mean, just to again go a little bit more into the weeds, those are going to be affected as well. And what we're doing is we're allowing you to claim your profits from those into Fusion itself. And by doing this, we're essentially eliminating the sell pressure of those LPs, and those become a speculative tool to actually get a larger ownership in Fusion than if you would sacrifice directly. And again, that's not a promise that everybody will be made whole, but we're damn well doing everything we can to have a full system recovery. And to your point, Matt Hatter, I mean, EMP and eShare alone, we could see a 5 to 10x on the dollar value of those, and now you're getting 5 to 10x the amount you're able to claim daily from those contracts. So again, they are games. We never have said that they're a financial instrument like a CD or an annuity. But with the upgrades and the updates of the ecosystem, again as a whole, we're very confident that they will breathe new life into all DOS products. And again, hopefully, in the next bull run, that plays right into it because Detonator was and the talk of the town, when it first launched during a bull run or the end of the bull run. And unfortunately, with cycles as they go, the more claiming, the more, negativity. Obviously, there's not a lot of interest in those contracts. But when we see the system recover, when we see the pool balances recover, when we see the price recover on top of a bull run, we can absolutely see those contracts have a major resurgence.
Great. Yes. And part of that, of course, is SparkSwap, and that's why we're here. I think I've covered everything that I wanted to get through. Is there anything that I didn't mention that you'd like to cover?
Yeah, man. No, that was great. Again, Matt Hatter, I can always count on you, brother. We have a great vibe with each other. We answer each other's questions and teams. And yeah, I think
We
that
do.
covered it all. I don't know. I'm happy to take some questions from the community before we wrap up, if there are any. Or yeah, man. I think we
Yeah,
covered a
I'm
lot, though.
I'm just reading through now, and actually, I think you covered most of it. To be honest with you, I think everything was pretty spot on. And if there are any kind of lingering questions that are sitting in there, I know that you often take the time to jump in. Um, let's finish with what we started with, which is a call to arms. As I said at the top of this, rising tide lifts all ships. So, what can we do as people listening now that we've heard everything that you've just said? Now that we've heard about the vaults, we've heard about the exciting additions to the team that are going to be very bullish for SparkSwap. What is it that we as a community, we as listeners, we as investors can do to help you guys to continue what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, the two major things at the moment right now are really trying to get more exposure, not only to SparkSwap, but also to our bridge. So we're running an internal campaign that I'm happy to open up to all of you as well, where if you're able to reach out to other protocols on I'm sorry, on Pulse, and convince them, or at least tell them how beneficial it would be to use our bridge. Again, not only does that help us, but it really is a utility for that project as well, because they're able to onboard a bunch of capital from BNB and from Arbitrum right onto their project. So again, we're doing a big initiative on that. If it does work out, then there are some marketing benefits as well. Again, we'll have bridge partners that we talk about on all of our AMAs, and there's a bit of a kickback for anybody that puts that together on our behalf. So that is like the number one thing right now. We're trying to just make sure everybody knows about the bridge. And again, not only is it beneficial to us, but once you use the bridge once, you will understand why we are so excited about the bridge. I mean, not only is it the fee is incredibly low, but you're able to swap right into Pulse. So if you're new to PulseChain, you can choose to bridge any asset that we support into actual PLS. So you don't have to worry about gas. The price impact is very low, and most bridge transactions take under 2 minutes. So
Mm.
again, we're talking seconds to be able to complete a transaction, and no other bridge on the market, even outside of Pulse, really, is able to do that. So that is really helpful to get the word out. Again, please be respectful. We're not looking to have people raid or shill SparkSwap and all the different telegrams. But if you have a relationship with a project on Pulse, definitely put in a good word for us. And then now, moving into Vault, it's just about more and more people on SparkSwap and on our Vault. So, and again, I know it's a process. It can be a little overwhelming, but we'll have a lot more education and updated white paper, tutorials, everything you would need to get involved on in the Vault as well.
Great. Well, thank you very much, AJ. It's always a pleasure. I know you guys do a ton of these, so I've had you for just over an hour now, so I'll let you go. We're running our giveaway, and I'm just throwing the SparkSwap Discord link into our community questions. To be eligible, you've got to be in the SparkSwap Discord, which you should be anyway, especially if you're invested. But if you're interested, jump in, ask questions. And as AJ just said, you're going to have an opportunity, if you were to know of any project that might be interested in this, to get in touch with the team, connect the two together. You never know what will come of it. As AJ said, one of the community members or a partner, I think you might have said, with the Pillars has already connected you with a layer 2, which is fantastic news. That's
Yes.
very exciting, and it's
Yeah,
great that
brother. I will.
they did so.
I'll send you a DM about that off stream. But yeah, again, Matt Hatter, because of your platform, and this amazing community, we're already making some, amazing connections that we would have never had otherwise. So yeah, shout out to you and David and everybody here. It's amazing to see. I think every CEE we've had over 75 people. I think today was almost 100. So thank you
Yeah.
all for coming out, for sure.
And thank you. Thank you for the hard work. Thank you for joining us once again, and I really look forward to our next chat.
All right, Matt Hatter, you got it, brother. Much love. Thank you, guys, and we'll chat soon.